So as a general rule, when we first make contact, I generally prefer to make contact with the hands without the gi pants. Okay, just gripping ankles from inside, outside, 2-on-1, etc., etc. Or even just the hand on the knee. Okay, but there are times you'll want to grab the pants too. But I'm not saying avoid this. So distance, we bring our foot onto the center line. I never stand on either side of the center line like so. Where from here my opponent can access both of my feet and cause big problems. Okay, I offer him one foot on the center line, and I stay just outside of the toe line. Now, if my opponent is naive and he reaches for my leg when I'm here, look how extended his legs become. An extended leg is a vulnerable leg, and it's extremely easy for me now to take advantage of that vulnerability and start the passing game. Okay, it would be a naive person in the bottom position who allows his knees to extend beyond the line of his hips. Knees that go beyond the line of the hips are overextended and easily thrown by. A good man in bottom position will always keep his knee line behind his hip line. He will never become overly incautious reaching with his legs. Good people always keep the knees behind the hip line and the elbows close to the knees. That's what makes it hard to pass their guard. If I stand on the toe line and he starts naively reaching with his legs, he's giving me a pass. It's just so easy now. It's so easy just to push the knees down and start coming forward. Okay, so that's how we use distance against them. So a good man isn't going to reach for my legs past the toe line. What a good man will do is hold his posture in here, and now I go to the second phase of the game. I won't give him my legs. I start going with my upper body. I can change the distance of my upper body relative to him without changing the distance of my lower body. I just lean forward with my body like so. He doesn't have a grip on me, so he can't break my balance, etc. So he has no grip on me. Now all we're going to do is put our hands into a winning position, dominating the space between his knees. So I go forward with the upper body without giving him my lower body. That's not what we want. Okay? So we use the distance here. I step up to the center line. I stay behind the toe line, and then we catch. Now, I don't care if he gets my sleeves now. It's too late. I focus now on a simple pin of my opponent's knee to the mat, and we're in the perfect position now to bring head down, butt up, clear our legs out to the side, and start running our opponent's hips out and away. Okay? In this way, we'll learn to use distance as a weapon. So, we have a supine opponent. I approach the center line with one foot. So we have a staggered stance. I'm very circumspect in how far I come. I never go beyond the toe line and give him connection. Okay? I'm not going to say never. I might do it as a tactical thing, but for now, for beginner level, be cautious about going beyond the toe line. When I come up with my feet to the toe line, I can bring my upper body to the knee line. So lower body stays beyond the toe line, upper body comes up to knee line and catch. Now, we pin the knee to the mat. Once we get the knee to the mat, I circle my body past his knee here. So I get in front of his knee, and then I push and come around the corner and clear the legs to the side. Guys, when you use these kinds of movement, I'm going to encourage you to use your feet with what we call short, choppy steps. Don't take big running steps. Just short, choppy steps is the best way to transfer your weight into your opponent's legs. So I come up to the center line. I go forward to the knee line with the upper body, catch. I sidestep out to the side, I pin his knee to the mat, and I go past the line of his knee. You can expect Bernardo now to frame on your body. Okay? So I can't pass to Bernardo's right-hand side. It's going to be difficult. Now from here, I take short, choppy steps and clear everything over. Now his frames are ineffective. Can you understand why his frames are ineffective? It's because his knees face one way and his frames face the other. When knees and frames face in the same direction, strong, his frames are incredibly strong and can hold 100% of that body weight with no problems. But if I make his knees and his frames face in opposing directions, those frames get very weak very quickly, okay? So once we get in here and I pin the knee, Here, his knees and frame strong, Danaher. Strong, strong, strong. His frames feel immensely strong. I can't do anything. But now, when the frames are pointing to the east and the knees are pointing to the west, those frames lose all their integrity. And as a result, we'll quickly go past and into a winning position. So that's the idea of one example of many examples of using distance as a weapon, okay? An important part of the idea of approaching an opponent. Now, another key element is the idea of gaining advantage within a neutral position. Whenever we're in guard, this is essentially a neutral situation. There's good things Bernardo can do, usually submissions, sweeps, and there's good things I can do as the passer, normally passing my opponent's guard. So he can attack me with sweeps and submissions. I can attack him with passes. That's the usual situation. It's neutral. In general, we don't like fighting from neutral positions in Jiu-Jitsu. We're always looking for some kind of prior advantage. Okay, that's the hallmark and the overall philosophy in the sport of Jiu-Jitsu. Get some kind of advantage first, then launch your attacks. So a natural question to ask is, well, how am I going to find advantage in a neutral position? What's the secret here? Understand that there are certain worlds within a neutral position where you can gain some kind of temporary tactical or mechanical advantage. A good example of this, I'll demonstrate this from a double overpass, a common one for white belts to use, is a situation where Bernardo's hips are close to the ground. It's very hard for me to be effective here. Bernardo weighs quite a bit more than I do, and when I try to lift his hips and get a leg up on the shoulder, it feels awfully difficult. Now, if someone as skilled as Bernardo is going to grab a hold of my sleeve cuffs and make it very hard for me to transfer my hand across the center line, then the hips and the knees separate, and I'm trying to lift here, and it feels like you're trying to lift the weight of the world. It's impossible, okay? Now, let's contrast that with a situation where, starting off, instead of me going underneath the hips and trying to tackle Bernardo's heavy hips, I start off by taking my V grips, my hand in the shape of a V, and either getting to the sole of the feet or underneath the Achilles tendon. Okay, your choice, either soles of the feet or the Achilles tendon. I'll start it from a standing position, and we're going to run our training partner through and touch his toes to the mat over his head. So instead of coming down to Bernardo and tackling the hips, where now you're in this dogfight of him wrestling that saying, oh my gosh, it's impossible. Okay, we're going to start off instead by taking our opponent's feet up high, and from here, locking in like so. Okay, so I take the feet and I make the feet face the ceiling. I come in, tackle them, just like so. When Bernardo tries to bring his feet back, it's tough. He's got to slide his shoulders along the mat. That takes time. That exposes his lower back and gives me what I want, the cross grip. You could go high, but I generally favor a cross grip below the chest, like so. Now when Bernardo goes to grab my sleeve cuffs, he only has one, and it's not that effective because I've already got my grip. Now, even here, Bernardo can fight very hard to hold me off. So what we're going to do is touch his toes to the mat over his head. When he tries to work from this position, there's no offense from Bernardo's perspective. This is a 100% defensive position for Bernardo. Okay, now from here, I take my head and I get angle. So I put my head and I use my head as a pushing mechanism. And I push to the opposite hip. I flip my elbow over the top. Now when Bernardo goes to put me back in guard, I jam my ear to his hip. We take short, choppy steps. He goes to move with me, and we're in a strong pinning position. I use my head as part of the pin. I don't come up here with my head frame underneath and start locking up my head and causing problems. We put the head down to the hip, block out the near side so it can't come in with an elbow escape, and we're looking good. So let's have a look at this again. Instead of going directly to my opponent's hips from down here and then getting locked up at the wrists and then having to fight the weight of his hips, it feels impossible. Okay? Instead, we come in on our training partner and we just run and we expose our opponent's hamstrings. As a result, when we go in, we get quickly to the opposite collar and lock it in. Now, Bernardo wants to walk backwards on his shoulders. My hand comes to the lower back. Even as he walks backwards, it's so easy for us to touch his toes to the mat, put him in a 100% defensive position. I haven't passed his guard yet, so ostensibly we're in a neutral position. But I think you would all agree with me. He's 100% defensive here. You have a massive tactical and mechanical advantage. He has no form of advantage from here. And it's pretty easy for us to go hunting for the opposite hip. Clear the arm over. And when he goes to put us back in guard, it's an awfully difficult proposition. Okay? So that would be a fourth example of a very important guard passing principle. Always look for some kind of mechanical advantage or tactical advantage in what would ostensibly be a neutral position, which gives you an ability to ride out your opponent and get to the pass. Now, a fifth principle, which we often make use of, especially as you're working with better and better opponents, is to avoid a very, very common mistake that we often see people make. Bernardo, you've been coaching this sport a long time. I'm sure you've seen on a million occasions a talented young athlete working to pass someone's guard. They do 90% of the work. And they don't establish the position at the end. And as a coach, you're watching, your heart goes out to them. You're like, oh man, he was so close, but it all went wrong. Where does it go wrong? What's the specifics? The wrong occurs when people make a shift from control of the hips to control of the head. You must understand that every guard pass finishes with control of the head. Okay? Your work is done when you lock up the head using any one of the various grips that we can employ, and the head is under our control. Okay? From here, you have passed your opponent's guard. Okay? However, everything typically starts with an assault on your opponent's hips. And at some point, you've got to transition from the hips to the head. The problem is, that's when you run into the frames, okay? So here I am, I'm controlling the hips, Bernardo posts here, I try to go to the head, and I'm sure you've all been there 1,000 times, okay? You beat the hips, but then you didn't beat the frames, you couldn't get to the head, you couldn't make that shift from hips to head, and you're back in the starting point. I'm sure you've all had that happen to you 1,000 times. If there's one big principle I want you to take away from this YouTube video, it's this. Don't go chasing the head until you've completely shut down your opponent's hips, okay? Hips first, head second, okay? You must understand this. Don't be in a rush to go from here to here and run into those damn frames. He locks up, then he shrimps, moves, and the legs come back in, okay?
Welcome to Mastering the Move, the knee cut guard pass. When it comes to selecting methods of guard passing, there are some clear criteria that might influence our decision. The goal of this video is to show how knee cut guard passing can in most cases be reduced to a pretty simple 3-part structure. First, gain an advantageous start position. Second, control opposite shoulder and hip, usually via underhook control on the far side of the body and good knee position on the near side. Third, control the outcome, usually via head position, and the fact that the opponent has very little purchase on the knee cutting leg. The knee cut has always been among the most successful and practical guard passes in Jiu-Jitsu. It is a staple among my students, and I am very confident that it will get great results for you too.